In 1973, the Langford family left city life behind, seeking peace in the hills of Wycliffe County, Kentucky. They bought an old farmhouse, hoping to start fresh and build new memories. David, a former journalist, dreamed of writing a novel inspired by the land's folklore. Sarah, a schoolteacher, looked forward to gardening and raising their children, Lily and Thomas, in the quiet countryside. The house was isolated, bordered by dense woods, and the nearest neighbor was a mile away. At first the seclusion felt like paradise, but soon the silence grew heavy, the darkness at night absolute. Every creak and rustle seemed amplified, as if the house itself was watching. The Langfords were unaware that their new home sat on secrets older than the county itself. Locals watched the newcomers with quiet curiosity, but kept their distance. The family poured themselves into fixing up the house, painting, repairing, and clearing the land. Yet as weeks passed, a subtle unease crept in. The peace they sought began to feel unnatural, almost oppressive. The woods pressed in, silent and watchful. The Langfords had come searching for tranquility. Instead they found themselves on the edge of something ancient and unseen. This was only the beginning. The first signs were easy to dismiss. Shadows at the edge of the woods, a prickling sense of being watched. David would catch movement in the trees but find nothing there. Lily and Thomas returned from the woods with stories of stick figures hanging from branches and tall, shadowy shapes slipping between the trees. Sarah brushed it off as imagination, but the children grew afraid to play outside. At night, strange noises drifted from the forest, whispers on the wind, heavy footsteps circling the house. David searched for intruders but always found only silence. The family dog, Buster, once playful, now refused to leave the porch, growling at the darkness. He paced restlessly, whining, staring at the tree line as if seeing something no one else could. The woods were no longer a place of adventure, but a boundary they dared not cross. The sense of being watched became constant, a low hum of dread. The Langfords tried to ignore it, but the fear was growing. Something was out there, and even the dog knew it. The family's dream of rural life was slipping away, replaced by anxiety. The woods were alive, and they were not alone. The real haunting had only just begun. Soon, the strangeness invaded the house itself. Whispers echoed through empty rooms, voices called out when everyone was together. Objects moved on their own, a book falling, a cabinet swinging open. The family blamed drafts in old wood, but the activity grew bolder. One night a porcelain doll flew from the mantel and shattered, unprovoked. The message was clear: they were not welcome. Lily suffered nightmares of a faceless man watching her sleep. Thomas spoke to an imaginary friend he called the Watcher, claiming it lived in the walls. The children's fear deepened, and so did their parents. One morning, David found enormous bare footprints in the mud, leading from the woods to the back door, then vanishing. No human could have made those tracks. The barrier between the woods and the house was broken. The haunting was no longer subtle, it was a siege. The Langfords realized they were not just being watched, they were being hunted. The house was alive with something ancient and hostile. Their sanctuary had become a trap. The terror escalated with the arrival of anonymous letters, folded, yellowed paper scrawled with threats. "Leave, they are watching, you do not belong." The family drew the curtains, double-locked doors, and lived in constant fear. David, desperate for answers, researched the property's history. He discovered the house stood on the ruins of a vanished settlement, rumored to have practiced dark rituals to appease ancient entities called the Watchers. While repairing a wall, David uncovered a hidden room, windowless, damp, covered in bizarre symbols. In the center sat a single wooden chair facing the wall. On the floor he found a journal from the 1880s, written by Jedediah Kane, an original settler. The journal described the same phenomena, being watched, shadowy figures, whispers. Jedediah wrote of a pact. The Watchers demanded a family to keep the darkness at bay. The final entry: "They are coming for us, they know we are here." The Langfords realized history was repeating itself. The house wasn't just haunted, it was cursed. The letters, the hidden room, the journal, all pointed to one truth. The Watchers had claimed families before. Now, they wanted the Langfords. The family's fear turned to terror. The past was alive, and it was coming for them. The Langfords' hope shattered as the haunting reached its peak. The house became a prison. Doors slammed, objects flew, black shadows appeared in doorways. The whispers grew louder, calling each family member by name. Sarah was pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. The family huddled together at night, too afraid to sleep apart. David called the sheriff, panicked, claiming intruders were everywhere. The call ended with a scream and a crash. The line went dead. A deputy arrived an hour later, delayed by a storm. The house was in chaos, furniture overturned, lights on, the dog cowering under the table. The Langfords were gone. No struggle, no blood, no footprints. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The family was never found. The house stood silent, holding its secrets. The Watchers had claimed another family. The nightmare was over for the Langfords, but not for Wycliffe County. The legend had only grown. The house became a warning. Some doors once opened can never be closed. The Langford disappearance became a cold case, unsolved and whispered about for decades. Locals say the woods took them, that the Watchers still linger. The farmhouse decayed, becoming a haunted landmark. Teenagers dared each other to enter, only to flee in terror from shadowy figures and disembodied screams. Paranormal investigators reported equipment failures and physical attacks. The land itself seemed to reject any attempt to uncover its secrets. The Langford story became a cautionary tale, woven into local folklore. Parents warned children to avoid the woods and the old house, especially after dark. The Watcher's name is still spoken with fear. The foundation remains, slowly reclaimed by nature, but the energy lingers. We have investigated, capturing voices, thermal figures, and evidence of a dark force. The truth may never be known, but the legend endures.